How you doing?
Hi.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you?
Hey,
Good,
you know
how
what
are
you
you?
look like right now?
What?
I've seen a couple of videos where you're like, "Hi, kids."
Hi,
just want
kids. Look at that.
from rock and roll. I'm selling from 1984.
Holy moly! Remember back when?
What's
Remember
that?
back when they used to come over to my house and we'd go through all the mail I got, and then I would dub you all those mangled demos. Hey, Scott, look, I got this band from Brazil. They're called Punk Thrash Kill, and then we'd just listen to it. I had that dual cassette deck that everybody had back then, and here I gotta make 12 copies, but you get the first one. Cool.
I swear, I still have in these above me here in these tubs. I've got some of the most horrible sounding cassette tapes you'd ever hear in your life. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even believe how bad they sound. Like, and they still sound bad. Like,
Were they supposed to sound bad?
I mean, you compare a cassette tape to like a CD or something new. Like nowadays, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah. What
And
do you know that?
I have like real like hang on. I have like I have like real cassettes, that like they sound crappy.
Yeah.
Not the ones we dubbed, but like the real ones.
Yeah, the real ones actually sound worse than the ones you get in the mail, it seemed like, because they were all on like those Maxwell 90s or whatever. Remember those? Yeah. Do you know that that lately people think that cassettes are this cool thing and they want to just release stuff on cassette only?
Yeah.
Oh,
I found a box in storage of all this old, like the 10-foot pole stuff we did, the swill, right? Before actually it was Scared Straight, right?
yeah. You sent me a CD of that.
Okay, we made cassettes, and I had probably, I'm not exaggerating, I probably had 100 cassettes, and I had 100 of the first 10-foot pole records with the little kid driving a go-kart. So
Yeah.
maybe a year or so ago, I told the guys, "Hey, do you guys mind if I put these out on the merch table?" And they're like, "Hell no!" So I sold them for $5. I swear to God, they were gone before the first band played.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Who the hell buys cassettes?
I know. It's like,
I mean,
it was just the format we had at the time, and it was a great format. But I have a box of mangled demos in my closet somewhere that I just haven't I haven't really gone into or gone through or whatever. So
I have the original Born Again's demo. I have all that stuff.
that was you, me, and Rob Demko, right?
Yeah. The Antichrist is coming home, turning Christians into
Man, I wonder. I can't believe.
I'm sharp, man. I don't forget shit.
Oh, that's good. Remember when? How did those guys, Skippy and Khan, those Australian guys, show up? Didn't they come to my house first, and then we went?
They came to your house, and then you came up to my house, and you said, "Hey, these guys came here," and you kind of like, I don't want to say dumped them off, but you're like, "Yeah, they can't stay at my house."
I think they stayed at my house for one night. My mom was like, "How did these guys know how to come over here, Brian?" "Oh, they read a scene report in Maximum Rock and Roll, Mom. Can you pass the salad or whatever it was?" And then they smelled really bad. And I'm like, you guys are gonna want to take a shower, I think.
That's what bummed out my mom, was the smell. We froze up.
Yeah, they didn't smell good. They didn't believe in deodorant.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thanks for agreeing to do this, and I'll just try to explain real quick what I'm doing. I'm trying to do what everybody's doing these days and doing a podcast. Who would think that people would have all this free time and want to do something with their time and be productive and whatever? So, I have this book that's coming out, October 10th, and you're in it, and there's like a bunch of other people in it. I just kind of thought I would just talk to some people about whatever. Just like I don't really have any actual specific questions, but obviously I have a little bit of history with you, so I kind of figured that we could make a sort of interesting conversation, and just see how it goes. And if it's good, great. If it sucks, well, I probably won't, probably won't use it. But and also you being in my book, your story is a lot different than anybody else that's in my book, because a lot of the people in my book are people that are in some degrees of being self-employed or whatever. But your story, back when we were kids, it's just such a interesting, bizarre story that I just thought, well, how many guys do I know that actually play professional baseball? And that to me is an interesting story. And just
the question you really have to ask yourself is, how many guys did you stage dive off your bed with to minor threat?
or black flag loose nut with your mom walking into the window. Or maybe that was Rob Demko, and your mom just, what are you guys doing? Oh, nothing, Mom, just whatever. And yeah, it's true. I don't know a lot of people that stage dived off my couch or bed to minor threat, or played air guitar to whatever. So you're probably.
I knew you used to be infatuated with drawing your Brian Baker tattoo on your forearm.
Yes, I did, but I never actually knew what Brian Baker's fake tattoo was. I just thought he was like, the punk rock subculture needed a guy that had dyed blonde hair, and he was the most notable dyed blonde-haired guy, and this incredible band jumping all over the place. And yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of embarrassing stories you have that I probably don't remember.
I won't go there.
It's okay, man. It's funny. I don't even remember any of that stuff.
How's the Willow Fiend Club?
Well, that was good. I took her back to her rest of her family. She's fine.
Oh, yeah. I saw a picture with her and one of her friends the other day, or a while back, I think. I don't have social media, but every once in a while I can't get in depth, but I can view the front page. I can't push anything and see it, but.
Well, you don't really need to be on social media anyway. I think
No, man, I'm out on an HR poster or something that I could be buying. There's some killer paintings I've seen.
By who?
By you.
Oh, by me. Well, I'll send you some prints and stuff. I made some Bad Brains prints recently. I sold a whole set to the singer of Sepultura, Derek. It's a really nice guy. He wanted. I was like, he's turned out to be a really cool guy. So I was like, sure thing, Yeah, I'm just freelancing this year, or no different than the last 8 or 9 years. So, yeah. Well, let me ask you. Obviously, this year's been kind of challenging and weird with the pandemic and everything. What did you have planned for this year that fell apart for obvious reasons? And what are you doing right now to just kind of stay sane and just keep on going? What kind of stuff were you going to get into as far as baseball and as far as Pulley?
I had probably one of the better summers lined up. I've been working with USA Baseball, and so that's actually a really cool outlet that's not part of a conformed organization. It's just kind of a 5-week baseball fix, and then it's over. But you got USA on your jersey, which is kind of cool, and the talent's off the charts, and the kids are really good and enthusiastic. And so I was with an 18-year-old group, which was really, really good talent. So I had that lined up. It was going to be a 5-week, it's called Player Development Pipeline, and it's operated through MLB.
Where would you be going to in order to do?
did it in Florida. This year was going to be in California, Santa Clara, somewhere up by San Jose, I think, at a college. And they put the kids in dorms and they put us in a hotel. And then it's like an everyday thing. You know, we work out for like, I think the first 10 days. And then the last 3 weeks is like just all games. And they bring about 80 kids in. So there's like 20 kids per team. And then hundreds and hundreds of scouts from all over the country come to watch these guys because they're the best 80 there are in the country. So I had that fell through. That would have been in June. And then I've been working with this European Baseball Federation thing. And I hooked up with a team in Austria. And I went out there last year and did some stuff. And I was scheduled to go out and do some stuff this year, which is completely exciting because it's totally brand new. Although baseball's been going on for 80 years there, it's so fresh. It's total DIY. But it's a professional league, and they play 4 or 5 days a week. And the guys are absolutely awesome, super passionate. And some of them have actual real jobs, and then they come and play these games at night. But super passionate guys, a lot of fun. And there was going to be a tournament that was called Finkston Ball. Roughly 120 different teams from like 80 countries. They all come and gather for a 2-week period. I was invited to that. I was really looking forward to that. That got canceled. So that was the baseball side of stuff. And then, I mean, musically, could have been one of the best summers we had. We had a bunch of festivals lined up in May in Europe. We had a lot of Bad Religion shows in Spain. Just had the opportunity to play some really good stuff, some cool little independent festivals in Canada. You know, amongst probably who knows what else we would have played, you know, on our own, but a lot of stuff. So we kind of lost out a lot musically, both financially on tickets that we purchased that, you know, held on credit right now till hopefully next year.
Yeah.
And we've just been kind of like, we've been doing a lot of writing. Mike, Trey, and myself, we've probably got about 7 new songs completed right now. And we've done a few live streams, acoustic live streams. We did, in fact, we did one yesterday for through the Facebook of our booking agent in Europe. Yeah, which is cool, you know, playing these punk rock songs acoustically. It's challenging because you're a little more under the microscope. You know, things aren't as distorted and there isn't as much room for forgiveness. So you're kind of more on the spot.
Well, how'd it go?
Kind of what we've been doing to stay busy, or what I've been doing to stay busy.
Right. So are you going to have any plans to for after you're done writing stuff with the other guys to like record something? Have you talked about, well, we don't know about next year, but maybe at the end of the year we can you guys can be in the same room at this point, right?
Oh, we've been in the same room for a while, yeah. I mean, we did like a live stream, the whole band. We did an actual live stream for this Monsters of Rock studio thing, which was really cool. And then, like I said, we've done a couple of acoustic things. But yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of writing new music is to put it out.
Right.
We Epitaph decided to re-release on vinyl the first 3 records, and then a small startup label in Canada decided to pick up the last couple records. So we have all 5 of our Epitaph records coming out on vinyl here in the next, you know, over the course of the next 18 months, which will be really cool. Awesome. And then I think we'll probably, not sure if we're going to go, we haven't decided yet on what makes more sense. You know, recording a full-length LP that just kind of sits there and there's really no distribution, or maybe just putting out like some 7 inches and just kind of continue to keep that process going and put out a few songs every 3-4 months. Yeah. Because that seems a little more realistic. And then, you know, it keeps us going, keeps some fresh music out there without the expense of a full record and you know, no label or anything. So
kids love the vinyl.
They love the vinyl. I mean, that's the reason companies are re-releasing. I mean, we have 5 LPs coming out, like I said, over the next 12, 18 months.
So what's stopping you right now from calling up Doug Moody and getting him to just like, Doug, you got to put out all that Scared Straight stuff, man, that you drink, you drive, you die. You know, we got these Pulley records coming out. Is Doug Moody still alive, do you know?
From what I understand, he's still alive, and he's re-released all that stuff. I mean, he's released it all. I've got like this Aggression bootleg album. I was looking through my records up here. Stuff's still wrapped in the shrink wrap, like Dr. No, Plug in Jesus.
Aggression Live. Ill Repute, Halloween Live, the box set.
Yep. You name it, he's got it. But there is a lot of stuff. Or I know for sure that we have a couple of songs that never got put out, and I've always been dying to hear them. But I'm pretty sure those are long gone and done. Yeah, we had a song called Confusion. I don't know if you remember. You played drums. It was like just a slow drum.
Problems.
We just screamed, Confusion!
I remember that.
Yeah. And we did it in the same session that we did the Positive Action stuff. But
that's right. You played bass in Positive Action, right? I was telling my partner Kristen a couple of days ago about. Well, I told him about Zombie Clergy, and she was really impressed. Remember Zombie Clergy? And I was like, you couldn't make up something that ridiculous. But then I said, but the first band I was in before I joined a real band, Scared Straight, because I met you and Dennis and those other guys when you were in the pre-Scared Straight band, was Positive Action. And I still remember some of Rob Demko's lyrics. And I was like,
I thought it was Donald and the Midgets.
Donald the Midget, yeah. My dad used to always bring him up. Every time I'd see my dad, he would always, you remember the midget that stole your mail? I go, yeah, I remember the midget that stole my mail. I was really nice to him, and he just totally took advantage of me.
I thought you were in a band with him.
Huh?
I thought you were in a band with him.
We were in a practice band for one day.
Okay, well, I considered that your first band.
Do I have to consider that my first band? Being a band with a guy he was a dwarf, right?
Yeah, he's still around.
Really?
Oh yeah, Donald Burrows, he's around.
My dad has brought him up every time. Anytime I saw my dad, he would always never fail to bring him up. Remember that guy, that dwarf that stole all your mail? Yeah, I remember.
Speaking of playing bass, I don't know how this picture came, but I was flipping through the internet a while back, and you had just done a podcast for somebody. And the picture they used is you playing my blue Tom and drum kit with like the America's Hardcore sticker on the tom and stuff on there.
I'm wearing a DeCroixin shirt.
And I'm playing guitar, and I don't know how that came about.
Okay, I can tell you what playing. That was for this guy Zach Nelson. It was for his podcast. I listened to the one that he did of you, which was very good. And then
how did me playing guitar?
I think what happened was at the end of our set, that was in Goleta.
Yeah, at the barn, right?
That's my first ever show with a band. And like, I remember it clearly. I was playing your drums because I had those Remo PTS pre-tuned series drums that the heads lock into. It's totally, but they sounded okay. But what do I know? So anyway, we set up, and like I had no idea really how to set up for a live show. So I was like about 6 or 7 feet behind everybody's amplifiers, behind Steve and Dennis and Eric, and it was Eric's first show too.
Okay.
It was like 1, 2, 3, and it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Because I had no idea, and at the end of the set, you and Dennis switched instruments, and eventually I took the mic and I sang. I think we just did cover songs.
Stepping Stone or something.
Yeah, Stepping Stone or.
I don't know what else I could have known how to play at that time of my life.
Yeah, so I think that's what it was, and that's just somebody took a picture, and I think it might have been that girl Kelly that was the photographer.
Yeah.
That went
used to have parties in her backyard.
Yes, when I was like basically auditioning to be your friends. Look, I draw. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was. I always remember that because that was like, I just had no idea that you had to hear that the amps needed to be tilting towards you, or that you needed to be somewhere close to them. So that was just fucking ridiculous. And then we played in Oxnard later. We played in Oxnard with a bunch of bands, and that was the night where we heard Vince Neil of Motley Crue had his
accident. Yeah.
Yeah, Razzle. And I was like, whoa, no way.
I think you were really bummed that the guy from Hanoi Rocks was killed.
I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pull out your Angel record and start playing some music in the background?
I still have some Angel records, by the way.
Yeah.
Angel got back together recently, and I ordered their CD because I had to. I had to, man. You know, not much has changed. All right, so you're just basically staying home and staying away from people and stuff. And what are you doing to occupy during these bizarre times when you're hanging out with your family, giving them rides and that kind of stuff, I would imagine?
I mean, yeah, I have no complaints because I kind of enjoyed the slowdown, you know, as far as like there's been no reason to rush and do anything or go anywhere, and I'm okay with that. You know, God, years of my life, it's just been on the go. And although I did, you know, personally have a lot of cool things to look forward to for the year or for the summer, it's been cool. We've just been hanging around the house and obviously, you know, taking care of a lot of things around here. We're trying to invent things. My wife invents things all the time to do. But just kind of really just more of a slow paced. I don't mind not being around people, to be honest with you.
I noticed, you know, I noticed that since I'm not a sports person, or even I know very little, as I've told you numerous times, I know very little about your profession, which I think is really funny for when I talk to people about you. They just can't believe that I just don't know everything, and they always have a billion questions that they would love to ask somebody like you. And I just, it's
well, we're more like age diving off the bed friends. We're not like, you know, we're not sports friends.
Right. But it's still, you know, it was a huge thing, and it was going on. The starting of it was going on when we first played in Scared Straight. You know, I remember that people were looking at you, and you were still in high school, right?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely, when I met you, I was in 10th grade. And I think we started playing together my junior year. So 11th and 12th grade, we were in the band together. And we had done a couple of tours at that point. You had moved away and come back. And, but yeah, I mean, that was like the peak of it right there. That was like the start of everything. Like 11th and 12th grade for me, baseball wise, was, I mean, that was right there in the thick of it when it all started.
I even sang a show in your place.
My team had a game canceled, I think, because of rain, and when they rescheduled it, it was a Friday night, and I couldn't make it. You sang at the Melody Theater.
That's right.
Yeah. You said all you did was
yeah, it was terrible, but it was well-meaning terrible. It was fun.
A good vocal to get off the subject, but a good vocal performance by you was, I think, the first 3 or 4 songs of the I Don't Want to Grow Up show at the Sun Valley Sports Hall, because Milo didn't show up in time. And you had known the songs because you saw them in North Carolina. So when they were out in LA playing, you like, oh, I'll get up here and sing Silly Girl. And that was cool.
I sang, Milo was coming up from San Diego where he went to school. And I think I don't know how it was decided. I think Bill might have said, well, you can do it.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I would have actually had the balls to do it, but maybe I did. I can sing all those songs. So I sang 8 or 9 songs, yeah, because you drove me there, as usual. And then 8 songs in, it was like, yeah, I can do this. And then somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and it was my
like, oh, yeah.
And I went, here you go. I'm going to go over here now.
Yeah, that was cool. Well, sorry to get off the subject there, but
No, that's okay. This is, I don't have any way of minding this conversation to go in a certain, I figure if anybody is interested in either one of us, they'll listen to it no matter how, whatever I ask or whatever. But the other thing that's really interesting is that when I think about when I moved away and your baseball career started, like you would come home at the end of every season, and there would be some sort of band activity, no matter what was going on up until a certain point. And then it's sort of, I guess the times changed, I guess. And I think Dennis was in college, I guess. And I don't know, Steve had like a business or something, like did he like vacuum carpets, like a carpet cleaning?
Carpet cleaning.
Right. And then, what was going on when you guys were transitioning from Scared Straight to 10-foot pole? Because I know that there was the starting of an affiliation with some of these other people and these other bands, and that whole, like, I guess after Bad Religion put out that Suffer record and that kind of thing. What was going on at the time that led to 10-foot pole being on Epitaph Records?
So when I graduated in '86 and left to go to baseball, then I'd come home. I would get like 4 or 5 month period during the off season, it's called, and we always continued to manage a way to continue to keep playing under Scared Straight, whether it was with Dr. No, RKL, wherever it was. We were Sam I Am. We were playing these shows, as many as we could. Maybe it ended up being 15 a year during that 5 month period, and that's all we would do for the year. But we continued to keep playing. Dennis was going to school up in Berkeley. I was at home actually working for Steve at the carpet cleaning business. And I think Jordan was our drummer at the time, who ended up going into Strung Out. He took basically took your place. So
good luck is all I gotta say.
Yeah, it was tough shoes to fill.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Jordan was the super accomplished technical drummer until like way later, because he was in the Grimm at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if the Grimm was like a great showcase for Jordan. I'm not trying to sound mean, but I'm just saying I just didn't realize it. And then, God damn, that guy's like a really good drummer.
Definitely had some chops.
A few, yeah.
Yeah. So we continued to keep playing, and I think somewhere around 90, 91, I was renting a house with Mike Harder, our longtime friend who's been in Pulley now for almost 30 years. And I went to school with him, and he was a guitar player, and he was playing in like I don't want to say psychedelic, but like a surfy beach kind of band called Skip and Go Naked. They had like that kind of hippie-ish feel,
Post Jane's Addiction world sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we were kind of getting into like, obviously the Bad Religion record came out probably somewhere in late '80s.
Yeah.
And I think we were turned on by the melody, but like, God, we could never do that. We could never sound like that. But we started, when I was renting this house with Mike, we started Mike's outlet for playing punk rock. Obviously he still enjoyed, playing those riffs. And we started like kind of doubling the beats and doubling the strumming, and it seemed like it made it easier to sing over. And we started kind of writing these songs. Even though Scared Straight was still going on, me and Mike kind of started writing these songs, and I'd bring them to practice, and actually Mike would come to practice, and he would show Steve and Dennis how to play them. And it just seemed like over time, a lot of the bands, I shouldn't say a lot, but obviously punk rock was kind of, the hardcore side of punk rock was kind of dying towards 88, 89. It's just at least around here. Some people say it died long before that, but it was kind of, the shows were, it got so violent, and the shows were kind of
vendors.
Everything was just few and far between. Like the established clubs or whatever there was were kind of on their way out, and there really was a place to go watch a band play consistently. So it kind of had a little lull for about a year, and I don't know exactly what year it was specifically, but Scared Straight started adapting to this style that me and Mike were writing, and it seemed to fit. Instead of just singing and screaming over, over every drum beat, it was kind of like trying to sing a little bit. And we started kind of writing some music like that. And it wasn't quite there yet, but we recorded a record called Swill. And we kind of went in the studio real quick, and we recorded it. And I don't know if the songs were well thought out or well written. They were just, it was kind of like, it was something new. We hadn't done anything in, almost close to 8 years at that point that we recorded. So we were just excited to go in and do it. So we did it. And somewhere in the process between recording the record and pressing it, our minds started working about like, well, maybe we should take this new direction with a new name and this new style. Because as soon as we finished recording the record, it seemed like we wrote a batch of 10 new songs that were all way better than what we just recorded, and definitely more in the right direction. And all those songs ended up on the first 10-foot pole record, which was called Rev. So we made almost like an overnight transformation, and it was just kind of like a conscious effort of like, well, maybe it's like a fresh start, a fresh sound. Maybe we need a fresh name. And the bummer was we had pressed 3,000 Scared Straight CDs of this Swill. And in the time period of the records being manufactured, we decided to change the name.
Right.
So then we went to Kinko's and we made these little stickers and we slapped them on top of every CD and every cassette, and we took a Sharpie and we blacked out anywhere it said Scared Straight on it. And that was kind of the official crossover. And then we repressed a few and with the 10-foot pole title. But I think it was the consciousness of like, hey, we're going to start fresh. We're going to start something new. And Scared Straight was a fun time, but we were kind of looking for we were trying to step forward into like this new world that was starting to open up, which, there was a few bands, not too many, but it was like kind of like this melodic sound that was starting to take off. Basically, it was the Ramones, just a little bit faster,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe slightly more melodic.
Yeah. I mean, and our musicianship, I think everybody started taking a little more pride in what they were doing. We all actually, instead of going there and playing, we actually wanted to go and sound good. And everybody got better. I mean, we got better.
Yeah. I mean, like as an outsider, I was long gone before all that stuff happened. And I think there were like a few things that I remember that maybe I'm just going to guess that might have had some influence on you. Besides like obvious things like Minor Threat, whatever. The Descendants, I feel like that was maybe sort of an influence. Were you influenced by that Dag Nasty record? I was gone when it came out. Were you into that at all?
Oh my God.
Can I say?
I was up to speed with anything I could get my hands on Discord wise. And when that first record came out, I wasn't into I think it was the guy who used to sing in a band called Swizz, but
John Brown.
Yeah, but when I heard Dave Smalley's voice, I just instantly fell in love. And obviously, listening to Milo and I think the Enjoy record came out, and I loved all the Descendants, but when the record Enjoy came out, and like there were songs like Cheer You Up and Sour Grapes and When I Get the Time, like that really come to me.
Yeah, because Milo always had a nice voice. You just couldn't tell. There were like some melodic songs at the end of Milo Goes to College where he's kind of singing a melody, the last 4 or 5 songs, and then that just turned into like actual singing. Okay, so yeah, I was gone when all that stuff unfolded, and I remember when I came to your house to hang out for a couple of days. I was asking you about all the bands that sort of came up during that time period, probably your peers, I think, and like I had really known about none of them, except at the very end you were like, well, you'll probably like this band Propaganda. They're like the best band out of all that stuff, and I don't even know why they're even associated with everything else but here. And I was like, oh, so I gotta thank you for turning me on to Propaganda, because I think they're a tremendous band. But like everybody else that we talked about, I had never heard of. I've never heard of Strung Out. I've never heard of Lagwagon. I know Chris Rest was in that band and stuff.
Right.
I've never even heard the RKL records that came out on Epitaph Records, and they were like a big pioneer band too for a lot of people.
Sure, they were like definitely. I mean, if you listen back to like Keep Laughing and some of that stuff that was around when we were around in the Mystic days.
When I was still there.
I mean, that is some of the most technical musicianship you'll ever hear, and I think they were just around a little bit too early for their time, because I think a lot of bands were influenced by them. Certainly NoFX and a lot of these strung out type bands that were real intricate with the guitar. I mean, the riffs are RKL just smoked, and to this day,
Rock
that music,
and Roll Nightmare.
Yeah, the music stands up.
Yeah. I thought RKL were the best band out of the area that we grew up in, even though they were technically from Santa Barbara, which is not to slight anybody.
Right.
There were, I liked Ill Repute. I thought they were quite good.
Well, they were all right. So it was, it's always when you know the people in the band and you realize like sometimes and you really learn it like when you're on tour with people, you're hanging out with them kind of regular. Even if you're not a fan of the music, you're gonna like the band just because the guys are so great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens for you, but that's kind of how it is for me. And in that case, obviously, I mean, I love the music and the guys were great and they were almost like influences and mentors to us. And
they were totally. They took us on that tour, and that I still hear about to this day. And a month doesn't go by when I get to retell that story, or somebody repeats it back to me, or whatever. It was a very pivotal moment, and those guys were really nice, and I'm sure they're all still really nice. So
to this day, another band that we weren't really super close with, but we actually just booked a show. We're going to play this at the Oxnard Performing Arts Center. We're going to play in the park on the stage, and people are going to drive up in their car. It's going to be like a drive-in movie type thing, right? And we're playing with Stalag 13, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. That'll be fun. Yeah.
Who's in Stalag? Do you know who's actually going to be in Stalag 13?
Guy that I know of that I don't know if he is at the moment, but from pictures I've seen or video I've seen relatively recent, was the guy John who played bass, the blonde-haired guy.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, I think he's the only guy, and I want to say he plays guitar now. There was another band from out here, like a local band called Missing 23rd, was a really cool Ventura, Oxnard kind of hardcore band. You would have liked them a lot. They were relevant, somewhere in the last 10 years. But I'm pretty sure the singer sings for Stalag.
Okay.
They're really cool. That scene's still thriving, amazingly.
I know. I was gonna say I still see that nerdcore is the thing, and that it's spawned all these generations of kids that know about all that stuff, and there's all these new bands and
new thing. I mean, it's cool, man. It's still a do it yourself scene. It never really grew into like what LA was or anything, but it's certainly there is a group of 100 kids that are going to come out to a show if there is one.
Yeah. This just popped into my mind, and the reason why it did is because I saw somebody writing about this guy who I never met, who passed away a long time ago, and that guy Jim Cherry that played with Pulley early on and was in some other Strung Out, I guess.
Yep.
And like, I'm just trying to get everything straight. He showed up after. Was he from Simi Valley?
He grew up in Simi, went to Royal High School. His dad owned this carpet shop across the street from the place he used to work on LA Avenue called the Carpet Coop.
Okay.
Wiener Schnitzel. And
down, like the western part of Simi Valley?
Right across the street from McDonald's.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Jim was in Strung Out, and he was like this big brash guy. I remember the first time I ever met him. There was a show at this place in Ventura, and we played. It was 2 consecutive weekends. The first weekend was Green Day, and the second weekend was NoFX, and we were booked on the NoFX weekend. And Jim came walking up to me, and I never even met the guy, and he goes, hey, how's it going? He's like, there was more people here last week when we played with Green Day than there is today. I went, oh, hey, how's it going, man? Nice to meet you. That was kind of our introduction. I'm like, well, this guy's kind of cool, you know? And somewhere, you know, over the course of time, you know, he had some frustration about songs he had written for his band, strung out, and they didn't like them. And I don't know, we kept in contact, and he was a guy I reached out to when I was asked to leave 10 for Pole. And, you know, he played bass and strung out, but he was a phenomenal guitar player. And he was a great, you know, and just like a tough guy, you know, he's like kind of the most loved and hated type guy, you know, around, you know what I mean? He's a big teddy bear, but he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And so he came out and he stepped in, but he was a local guy in Simi, and he played guitar with us. And yeah, we had a good friendship with him.
Right.
Sorry, I rambled on with that one. But.
No. I asked. I was just like, because there's a lot of people that I look back and like my memory's not as good as I would like to think. So like sometimes I'm like, did I ever meet Jim Cherry? And I don't think I did.
No, that was definitely I would consider the second wave. You know, like after you left.
Yeah.
You know, there was a 10-year period when you were around, and then there was the 10-year period after. And don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun those early years, but it really got a lot more pro and kind of more organized as time went on, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, like honestly, like when I listened to I think the Rev record, like I think you sent it to me, and like I wasn't super into it, but as time went on, I would go back to it and go, I actually liked it. Like that song, the final hours or whatever, for whatever reason, that song just really, that one especially, and I was like, yeah, this is way better than anything that we did. I mean, like, and just the whole like professionalism of it, it still didn't really take away from the actual core of the music, whatever. But yeah, I mean, what you guys ended up doing was far, far better. I mean, what we did was cool.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great. But
I mean, guys like us that didn't know what they were doing it. And at least we had the balls to go do it, you know? And it was like, and we were like kind of part of forging a scene. And I'm very thankful and grateful and proud to like look back and to see what the music scene that I've been involved with my whole life has become. I'm very proud to think that I can remember standing in you know, the hallway at Sun Valley Sportsman's Hall, and someone like Jason Traeger would come up to you and say, hey, my name, I do the Leading Edge. And it was just like, wow, that doesn't happen anymore.
No, it was very exciting. And like I look back and I think of all the mail I got and all the music and things I drew and being able to play with you guys and Scared Straight and, you know, all that stuff. And I can't really look back and think that there was anything else I would have rather had done with my time than be a part of that. It was really exciting in a way that, you know, I'm sure that stuff probably still goes on, you know, but it was like, you know, even that tour we did, you know, the climate was these guys, regardless of how good or bad they are coming through, and they're from California with this other band, and they're going to play with Baby, Hotline, and whoever in Lincoln, Nebraska at this brick warehouse, and we're going to...
Spoken word.
What is it?
Power of the spoken word.
Yeah, we saw Power of the Spoken Word. They were like, totally ahead of the game.
You're totally right. And if you think about it, think about that going on in today's world. There's, you know, wouldn't happen. You'd just be like, not going.
Well,
you know?
Here's the whole, well, it's not even just that, but it's like a different universe. It isn't just because of our ages, and even though we are older and families and whatever, but it's like, and people hate when people talk about this, but like the pre-internet sort of world of discovering music, everybody was isolated. Like to know about stuff, you'd have to, you know, do what we did, write letters, call people on the phone, get magazines, get fanzines. And it was like, you know, you had to really, you know, seek it out.
Right.
And you didn't necessarily know everything that was going on, unlike today where you know everything seconds after it happens, whether you want to or not, if you sign on, you know? Right. So it's like, you just can't compare, you know? you don't have to write letters anymore. Now you can just be an asshole online and like complain about everything and call people out. And so like musically, it's like there's no sense of anybody being isolated to come up with their own thing. Everybody's in it together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And not to get too far off that, but like going back to what I said about, being proud about being a part of that, I don't think that you could honestly say, or I could honestly say musically, we would be in the position we're in today had it not been for being a part of that. I mean, I wouldn't, I'd be lost in the music world if I didn't have those roots to kind of know to go off of, you know what I mean? And
yeah, well,
and I know
it's like
it's created a whole world for you,
definitely like, it doesn't happen often, but like the experience that we had, we can only really, share it with, we can share it with some people, but it's not a lot of people. It's not like a Vietnam veteran talking to other Vietnam veterans. I don't want to make it sound dramatic, but it's an experience that only other people that were around in our time period can really identify with. And a few times I do run into people like, I've ran into Carl Alvarez on a couple of Melvins tours ago. We had dinner, and I hadn't seen him in like 20 years, whatever. And it was like exactly like no time had passed or anything, And it's just because of that shared experience. Or seeing William Duvall from Neon Christ. Now I'm actually going to interview him tonight, But
cool.
we had that, there's that same experience. No matter where people have gone, that experience, it's like you're talking to people that are kind of like your.
We all have a respect for those times,
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm thankful that we were able to do that, and thankful that you didn't mind driving me all over the place for like 2 years straight. It's fun.
It was awesome.
Yeah, we saw a lot of cool shit.
A lot of cool stuff. We played a show back in January. I think it was the last show we played before all this shit went down. And we played with Youth Brigade in Bakersfield, California.
How was that? That was nuts. Bakersfield.
It was great. It was total punk rock. And so I'm standing at the T-shirt selling shirts for our band, and of course Sean Stern selling T-shirts for Youth Brigade. And we sat there the whole night talking. And he didn't ask a whole lot of questions, but he's like this huge Dodger baseball fan. So we were talking punk rock the whole night, and I was trying to not be fanboy kind of thing, because those Stern brothers have done a lot for our scene locally here, especially back in those days with the putting on the gigs and the record label, and now they do the punk rock bowling thing, and I mean they've done a lot for the scene. And so we were having this great conversation, and he started asking a few baseball questions, and finally when they got done playing, the club was kind of dying out, and he came over. And I remember at the end of the night, I went to shake his hand. I went, man, I go, you just have no idea. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, we do. He goes, come on. He goes, yeah, we do. And I was like, no, really? He's like, no, yeah, we do. Let's not even go there. And it was really cool. It was like one of those things where, like, for me, I felt like I was 13 again. Like, wow, man, these guys put on a gig that allowed me to go see Minor Threat, and Chatsworth, right
you
around the
bastard. You bastard. I remember that too.
That was cool, and yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about that, but
because so I can talk about how bummed I was that Minor Threat played less than 10 miles away from where we grew up, and I didn't really
drive yet, so I didn't drive yet, so I couldn't take you. If I'd have driven, you'd have been there.
I don't know.
We didn't know each other at that time, but
no, we didn't know each other, so it was like, and I didn't really have any punk rock friends, and I didn't drive, so it's like, I'm not going to take a bus over the Santa Susana Pass. That would have been just scary. But I always remember that to this day. Like, man, that's crazy. Minor Threat played 10 miles away from where I lived, and I didn't go. That's crazy.
But I'll tell you, one of the coolest memories I have and this is, I think, after you came back from North Carolina, or might have been before, I'm not even sure. So it was a tough night because at the Sun Valley Sportsman's Hall was Corrosion and some other, I don't want to, could it have been Slayer? No. I can't remember. Dark Angel or somebody, right? And in Santa Barbara was the Bad Brains. And me and Mike decided, we're going to go see the Bad Brains in Santa Barbara. So we went to Santa Barbara to see the Bad Brains, and you went to go to the Sun Valley Sportsman's Hall show. I think Steve might have driven you because he was totally into Corrosion. And so the next day, they're staying at your house, and somehow you convinced them to come up to my house, set up their gear, and you're like, hey, you guys should practice.
Yeah.
Corrosion and Conformity practiced in my mom's house on like a Sunday morning or something, and it was the awesomest thing ever. And you created that. That was great.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. They unloaded, and they were serious. They unloaded all their stuff into that tiny room where Scared Straight practiced for that picture from the 7 inches. Yep. And they just treated you and me and Rob and Steve and maybe somebody else. They just
we had a private show.
Huh?
We had a private show.
Yeah. That was January of '85.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that.
So you hadn't moved out there yet then?
No, I had after
was that the first time you met those guys?
No. What happened was after the Scared Straight tour was over, that there was a bunch of other celebrities we were ready to meet on that tour. If everything hadn't fallen apart, we would have played with Youth of Today, who had just formed. But the tour was over, so we missed out on that.
Fire for that show, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was probably somewhere in like New York, the state of New York, I think, maybe Albany or something like that. I'm not sure. No, what happened was like after I listened to Tony talk about that tour, and I think what had happened was we went on one more show to Baltimore.
Yeah, we did. So you had already went out there and stayed with those guys for a while.
Yeah, after the tour was over,
they came out?
I came back a month and a half later.
Right.
Got
a job at Tempo Records, and I remember. Yeah, and you got to after the Scared Straight tour, when they came and picked you up on the way to New York to go see the Bad Brains, I think it was, you got to hang out with rest in peace. You got to hang out with SNFU for a while.
Yeah, the story behind that was they came through and played in Raleigh, and then they were going to do like a week's worth of shows going up to Baltimore, maybe 3 or 4 shows. And then they were like, why don't you come with us? I go, okay. So I went with SNFU, and they toured with that band, the Rhythm Pigs.
Yeah.
Who were really good.
Texas.
And, so it was like, so after not being able to tour anymore with Scared Straight, I ended up going to hang out with COC in Raleigh for the first time and go out travel with them. But in between that, I still went out with SNFU for like a few shows. And SNFU were great. They were like one of the best live bands I'd ever seen, especially at that time.
Yeah, the best.
They were really good.
Yeah. Especially in that time period.
Yeah, that was the best. Well, they got another drummer, and it was the same people a year later, and they were still amazing, maybe even a little bit better. And then I never saw them again after that. So all the stuff they ended up doing on Epitaph when they broke up and reformed, I've never heard any of that stuff. I actually only heard this recent record they did. Not recent. I think it's called In the Meantime and In Between Time. That's like their best record. That's like their best record. I had no idea. And it was just them as a 4-piece. And it's like the best songs, his best performance maybe. Real dark lyrically, because a lot of his stuff is very dark, But yeah, that did happen for sure. This is the part where I run out of things to talk about, maybe. So anyway, you're just hanging out, enjoying being at home, and waiting to see what's going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's really all I can do is wear my mask to the grocery store, buy some food, come home, and lock myself in the 4 walls. Like I said, been seems like the live stream, being part of that whole world. There's this punk rock karaoke band. I don't know if you heard of them. Greg Hetson's one of the guitar players. Stan from the Dickies plays guitar.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, so they've been doing a lot of stuff. I did a song with them, which was really cool. Did a song with, yeah, I did 1-2XU by Wire. Yeah,
not 1-2XU, not 1-2XU by Minor Threat, the Minor Threat version.
No, the Wire version. I wanted to sing Together Everybody, but they didn't happen.
Right.
But we're actually going to go do a live stream live somewhere in August 23rd, I think, at some studio. So I'm going to go do a song there. There was this really cool kid up in Canada called Mikey and his, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's UKE. Mikey and his Yuki. Mikey and his uke. It's like a ukulele. And this kid's phenomenal, man. He plays like the ukulele. He plays all these punk rock songs. So I was part of doing a Pennywise song with the singer for a band called Anti-Flag out of Pittsburgh.
Heard the name.
Yeah, Russ from Good Riddance. And we did the song, and God, they ended up having like 100 different people in there. And they the way they edited it, and all these different faces singing, and that song came out great. That's on YouTube. That one was amazing. So that was. So yeah, just been like a lot of that stuff, a lot of internet stuff, recording at home on my phone, and then I send it to some guy, and then like a week later he'll go, oh hey, here, check it out. And that's kind of what it's been. Like I said, we did me, Trey, and Mike did a live stream yesterday, which was cool, acoustically. And then we actually have a show booked in September, so we'll see how that goes. People will be sitting in cars. I know Sublime played last night at the Ventura Fairgrounds. Fishbone played 2 weeks ago. They've been doing this drive-in car thing. So we'll see how it is. I mean, whatever. I mean, we'll get to play live and play loud. It'll be better than an acoustic guitar, I guess. But yeah, there's really been not a whole lot to do, try to stay out of my wife's way and not drive her crazy. But only so much you can do,
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like I'm just trying to invent little projects, not beyond drawing, just to keep myself busy. I started working with Mike Dean. We're going to work on some sort of recording, like an actual record, because he has a bunch of songs and he can't play with those other guys. And I think somebody wants to do something, so he asked me to do that. So I'm kind of excited about that.
That'll be good.
Hopefully. I mean, it's fun playing with Mike. He can still play.
Snake Nation Reborn.
Well, I think we're going to be disappointing a lot of people if that's what they expect. But there's this. You remember the band Void? I'm sure.
Of course.
I've listened to this interview that somebody did with Bubba, the guitar player, and the guy was like, I actually know him. It's this guy named Damien that sings in a band called Fucked Up from Toronto.
Okay.
You might have probably heard of him. But he's had a podcast for a long time called Turned Out of Punk. And he just asked people, well, how'd you get into punk rock and blah, blah, blah. And Bubba's like not really very tied to what he did when he was 16 years old. And you know how like a lot of people that are really excited about hearing those old records think that, man, these guys can just flip the switch and it'll sound just like it was in 1982. And that's just not how it is, especially when you're like our age and whatever. And he had this great quote where he said, no, I think I would just rather disappoint people on my own terms. And I was like, that's a brilliant line. And that's probably what the Mike Dean thing will be like. It will be disappointing people on our own terms, I think. Because it's not gonna sound like Animosity, and it's not gonna sound like Snake Nation. It just isn't.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Podcasts seem to be the way to go, huh? That's like the thing. I'm going to do this one on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to. It's a Propaganda podcast, and they talk about experiences with the band, and you have to pick a song. So my song is going to be Coach's Corner, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been trying to listen to a few of them because that to me seems like a pretty intellectual group, and I don't want to like come in sounding like a like a goofball. You know what I mean? And but I've certainly listened to a lot of podcasts. That's for sure. Thank God for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've gone
It's
through all of them.
thing.
Well, there's some really good ones out there, So hopefully this will be another one of those. I'm not sure, whatever. Let me ask one more question, and we'll wrap things up. Why is it that the stuff you've done musically seems to be so popular in Canada, especially the French Canadian part of Canada? Because like I know that maybe 10-foot pole. I mean, actually, I don't know this. I'm assuming that 10-foot pole, the early part of it when you were singing, people liked it up there, maybe, or maybe it was just people like Pulley. But it seems like you've done pretty well in Canada. When did that start, and why do you think that is?
In 1994, we did a little run up there with No Effects, Face to Face, and it was amazing shows. Quebec, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, that little whole area up there. So we got invited back a few months later to do a thing called Snow Jam. And it was us. It was like the guys from Scream that turned into that band Wool. It was Down by Law. It was just a bunch of Lagwagon, a bunch of really cool bands. And we played Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. And then there was a big festival, snowboard festival in Quebec City at this place in a ski resort called Mount St. Anne. And for whatever reason, I just think it was the times. The record was received well at the time. The music hadn't been completely saturated yet. We were an Epitaph band, so that kind of gave us a leg up, in our credibility, I guess. And we went up there and we just performed really well. And so that particular area has always been really good. And matter of fact, one of the festivals we were supposed to go do up there this summer in June was called Red Bridge, and it's in a resort basically right outside of Quebec City. And part of the deal was the guy was like, I will pay you this amount of money, but you must play 6 songs from Rev. I said, well, this is a different band. It's Pulley. Yes, I know, but I will pay you to play Rev songs. I said, okay. So I told the guy, this guy's willing to pay us this amount of money. And they're like, oh, yeah, shit, we'll learn them right now. So we picked up. It never happened, but it's supposed to be next summer, and we'll go up there and we'll play some 10-foot pole songs. But I mean, I feel comfortable doing that since I was a part of writing most of those. But yeah, I don't know why. It always seemed to go over pretty well up there and in that part of the world, and it always went over really well for us outside of the United States, whether it was South America, Japan, or Europe. It just never seemed like in the U.S., and maybe because we never made an investment into playing here a whole lot, or maybe people just didn't care. But it was kind of like that theory of, like you were explaining earlier about back in 84, 85. It's like, we're going to go support a show because we're part of a scene, and this band's coming through, so we have to go tonight. That's kind of the perception I got, and the way it was received outside of the U.S. for us. I know other bands go out and tour South America, and they go out to Europe, and they go to Canada and these other places, but for whatever reason, that's been what's worked for us. So for us to have this precious time to be able to take off work or whatever it is to go play, those are the places we go. And it just seems a lot easier to book those shows. And it's made more sense financially, but more than anything, it's just the shows have been great. Like, the people come out and they support, and we've gone back again the next year, and it gets bigger, and then go to the year after that, it just continues to grow. That's kind of always been our little thing is we're like kind of an outside the U.S. band, and it's really been thank God for that, because that's what's kind of really kept us going.
Yeah. Well, also just the fact that the entire way your band exists maybe not so much at this point anymore, but with you having baseball as your main gig during the baseball season, you doing that and the other guys doing actual jobs, you guys aren't really, you're not like acting like a full-time band, like with the cycle. You just have this certain amount of time, or you did for a really long time, and everybody was okay with it. And it seems like that almost is why you're still a band and still like what you do, because you never tried to go for it or force it, even when there was that climate where maybe you could have, blah, blah, blah.
No doubt. And no doubt. First and foremost, we were on one of the best punk rock independent labels that ever existed. I mean, we put out 5 albums on Epitaph, and that, like I said, that gave us the promotional tool, like just them pushing us out there, kind of put us we didn't necessarily have to go out and pound the pavement to earn what we got from being with people. And the fact that we didn't survive on the band, I think there was no tension amongst us. And I couldn't tell you how many bands would be backstage and be jealous of us because we all hung out together and laughed and joked and had a good time. We carried our own gear. And
actually, we're friends.
They hated each other, They had to go work and play these shows, but they hated each other. And there's no doubt that we are still surviving today because of that. I don't know if you call it a model or whatever, but as much as we've thought, like, well, let's try to do this and let's try to do that, we've never lost the concept of what the whole band, and I've never used the word project because it's never been a project. It's always been a band. It's just defined to me were we a full-time band that relied and paid our bills and our source of income was completely relied upon playing music? No, but we were a band and we created music and we put out music. We played live shows. We were part of the scene, and we've been out and about throughout the world and had these opportunities to go play so many places. And I give a lot of that credit to, like I said, being on a good record label that was supportive, writing good music, and really being able to play live together and have people watch it and realize and can see it and feel it like, and these guys really like being with each other. They enjoy what they're doing. And they didn't know the difference,
Yeah, well, let me just throw in a little bit. When a couple of years ago when I came out to hang out with you guys before one of the Melvin's tours, and I went to the practice studio that you guys have had for like how many years now?
It's going on 30 years now.
In Chatsworth. And it's like, how cool is this that like, even though I had been gone for, as long as I have been gone, to come back and see you and Mike and to meet Tyler and, Jim, and I met Chris and all these other people, that's great. Like throughout all the weird times, that life throws at you and people getting older and having a family, it was just really cool to see that there's this core of people that I remembered that still like each other. They're still playing. They're still friends with each other. And it's like this little clubhouse that you guys can all go to, to do this thing. And it's been like 30 years, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, like you guys are very lucky, like you, Mike, and now Trey's in Pulley. That's great. Like people like you guys, and what's the other example? Like the propaganda guys.
I think a lot of the bands that end up in that, it's like it's a tribute to the passion, but it's also like when you're doing things for the right reasons. I think you have like I always thought about this in professional sports. Like the guys that wanted to play just to make money, for whatever reason, their success it wasn't sustained. But for the guys that actually had the passion and the drive and the fire burning inside their belly to continue to keep playing or keep writing music or whatever, however you want to channel that, when you're doing it for the right reason and that fire's burning, there's going to be longevity. You're going to be able to sustain that. When you're trying to look for quick stardom, or you want to be this this big band that goes on a tour bus and plays big shows, just doesn't work. And if it does,
it doesn't work because every year there's like some new thing that people would try to emulate, I'm sure. And it just like when I was gone, by this ton of stuff happened. But like say when the Red Hot Chili Peppers came out, suddenly bam, there's like 30 bands that sound like that. Or when grunge happened, grunge. Suddenly, all these rock and roll guys are, and I'm sure it was the same thing with when punk rock bands started selling lots of records. There were some credible people doing that stuff, and then all of a sudden there's like, oh, well, we heard that Blink-182 record. Let's try to put a band together that sounds like that, and whatever, and whatever. But the next year, I'm sure they're on to something else, and that's just generally how it goes.
Yep.
Okay, that was what was that?
Flavor of the month,
Yeah, but at the same time, now that I just said that, I should also point out that I don't, because it sounds kind of dumb to actually say that. I don't really care what people do musically or whatever. If they want to do whatever, that's fine. But I'm basically agreeing with you and using that as an example of that sort of thing. Yeah, because if you don't want to actually do it, why do it? Especially if it's just for, like I'm kind of excited, even though I don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually excited to play with Mike Dean. Like, I'm just excited about that as I was about anything else I was lucky enough to do musically a long time ago. Even if it doesn't mean a whole lot to anybody, I still feel like, oh yeah, I still enjoy this. So.
Well, you wouldn't be around if you didn't. You're still here for a reason. It's like I was saying earlier, like what we did back then and where we are now, that path is all a part of, something we've loved and that hits home deep somewhere inside. And it's like, that's what keeps you involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like a spark. And that's actually what I got your address, and you're going to get a book when it comes out. But it's like the book's almost like a tribute to the spark that you get when you hear something that inspires you, whether you're a musician or an artist or, a baseball pitcher or, there's like this music that can be like this spark for you, this catalyst. And it's like, can almost be like the soundtrack of you doing your own thing the way you want to do it and enjoying yourself. You know what I mean? Like all the times we used to listen to whatever, or Scared Straight went to San Francisco and went to the Maximum Rock and Roll House, and how exciting that was. And, being inspired by other people, by other bands and stuff. It was just like a soundtrack of something that hopefully inspired you to go and do what you wanted to do as well as you can do it. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, that's more or less what the book's about underneath the actual self-employment thing.
I can't see it. What's the name of it going to be?
Self-Empunishment.
Love it. Oh, I saw the roller coaster drawing with Buzz in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Well, you'll get your copies.
Like the fourth one, fifth one?
Wait, say this again?
How many books is this for you?
Well, this is like the first actual real book.
Yeah, but how many?
7, the 7th book, I guess. But this is actually and Bob Durkee wrote the foreword.
I saw that, yeah. How'd you dig him?
I've been in touch with him off and on throughout the years. He's still exactly the same guy. And also,
he's a dick.
Turkey's a dick. That's the only NoFX song I know. To this very day. Do you know any NoFX songs? I know
You're
Bob.
okay.
Huh?
You're good with that. That's fine.
I'm sure they got better songs, but I just like the idea that I only know Bob Durkee's a dick, and that's the only thing I really know.
I remember the Pillsbury Hardcore song, I Hate Paper Cuts, or 7-Eleven is God.
Or want to check out my record collection?
Toxic Shock.